All right, this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call the January 24th, 2019 meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council to order at 1:30 p.m. We're going to move directly into executive session. Ms. Marcotte.
Do you have to do roll call?
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Before you read it, we're going to do roll call, but I want to make a couple of announcements. Open the machine for roll call. Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present, so before you read the executive session, just let some folks know what we're doing. We're going to move directly into executive session, which could take, anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. So go ahead and take a break now while you have a chance. We're going to move to a couple of items immediately after executive session in new business. Item 7D will be the first one that we come up to. And then we'll proceed with the agenda. So that's going to be the order of the meeting. Ms. Marcotte?
A1, Crescent Commercial Construction LLC versus Amos J. Cormier III et al.'s 25th JDC case number 64-309, Division B, Councilmember Black. Number 2, Plaquemines Parish Council versus Plaquemines Parish President et al., 25th JDC, case number 64-004, Division A, Attorney Danny Garrett. 3, Plaquemines Parish Council versus Plaquemines Parish President, 25th JDC, case number 64-047, Division A, Attorney Danny Garrett. Number 4, Plaquemines Parish Civil Service Commission versus Plaquemines Parish Council, 25th JDC, case number 63-231, Division A, Attorney Danny Garrett. Councilmember Black. Number 5, Lakeisha A. Daisy versus Plaquemines Parish Government, case number 2017-CA-0076, Court of Appeal, 4th Circuit, Attorney Danny Garrett, Councilmember Black. Number 6, Plaquemines Parish Government versus MAP Construction LLC, Travelers Casualty and Surety Company, Seisler Thompson Brown Architects Project Design Group LLC, and any third-party defendants brought into the suit by the above-named parties, including but not limited to Roof Technology, Inc., 25th JDC, case number 61-741, Division B, Attorney Rennie Bures, Councilmember Black. And number 7, the Parish of Plaquemines versus ConocoPhillips et al., 25th JDC, case number 60-982, Division B, and all of its consolidated cases, Attorneys Carmouche, Kosich, Parasola, Taylor, Connick, Berglass, and Tankersley. Councilmember Black.
I will offer ask for a second. Second. Mr. Bartholomew seconds. Any questions or comments?
yes. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On these two issues, 6D and 6E, new council members, we don't know what's going on with those two issues.
6. Okay. Actually, that's going to be explained in the, that's on executive session, so our attorney will,
So we be able to bring that in?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Machine's open. Any other questions? None? Machine's open for a vote. Executive session is 9-0. We will move to executive session at 1:32. Thank you, and I apologize for that. We had a lot of business to take care of, but I'll call the meeting back to order at 3 p.m. We do have one action item out of executive session. If we would move to item 6P, please. P as in Paul.
A resolution ratifying and confirming prior ordinance passed by this council authorizing the parish president to institute and proceed with any and all litigation required in connection with defective conditions in the case of Plaquemines Parish Government as the assignee. Hold on, that's incorrect.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's offered with
Yeah,
changes, and she
I
with the
just
changes.
realized it.
Yeah.
Bear with me, please. Oh, thank you. With with Plaquemines Parish Government versus 1, MAP Construction LLC, 2, Travelers Casualty and Surety Company, 3, Seisler Thompson Brown Architects, Project Design Group LLC, 4, any third-party defendants brought into the suit by the above-named parties, including but not limited to Roof Technologies, Inc., and number 5, cause number 61-741 in Division B of the 25th Civil District Court of the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer those changes. Ask for a second. Mr. Russo, seconds. This is basically just some litigation we have ongoing, and this is to ratify the litigation. Any questions or comments? It's on the pause building. Any questions, comments from the table? From the audience? I with none. Machine's open. Mr. LaFrance and Mr. Gouy. Passes 9-0. All right, at this time, we're going to, I just want to go ahead and clear up some of the agenda. Mr. Bartholomew, I'll have you go first. Any items to withdraw or defer? All right, Mr. Albro, anything? Mr. Rousseau?
Yes, on item F, the administration has requested that we defer this item. We're going to do a survey of the departments, and we will come together to adopt a retention policy in the future. Correct?
All right, F is deferred. That's all, Mr. Rousseau?
That's all I have.
Mr. Newbar?
None.
None, Mr. LaFrance?
Item I.
Item I is deferred or withdrawn? Withdrawn? Okay. No more? No. All right, I have a couple. We're going to withdraw item 6D as in David and 6E as in Edward. All right, so go back over real quick. Item 6D, withdrawn. E, withdrawn. F, deferred. I, withdrawn. That's all. All right, at this time, would you,
N and O. N and O.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to withdraw M. I'm sorry, Mr. Bartholomew. And also withdraw N and withdraw O. Yeah, N and O. You already won, unless you want to revote. We're going to defer C as well. At the request of legal. I think, Danny, I think Randy wants to get with you now. Yep, no, we're going to defer, sir. All right, with that said, we're going to move to item 7D, CPR update and status report from Mr. Chip Klein. Mr. Klein, if you come up. First, I want to congratulate you. I hope you had a good night's rest. I'm not sure how long the party lasted yesterday, but
It was a good day. It was a good day yesterday, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you specifically, Mr. Chairman, for your willingness to put me on this agenda. I am going to be probably, I hope to be no more than 3 to 5 minutes. I know that you referenced in your opening remarks there that I was going to be providing a status update. I am not going to be doing a full-blown presentation here, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to come here because it is no secret that the relationship between the state, through the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, and Plaquemines Parish over the last several months has become fractured, and it has not been a productive relationship. But there have been changes in leadership here. I want to congratulate the new members of the council. I want to congratulate you, President Lapine, on your election. But there have been changes in leadership at the state level as well. And I think this gives both of us, both sides, the opportunity to take a step back, hit reset, and reestablish which was once a very productive working relationship. Now, I hope you think that these aren't just words. On January 1st, Governor Edwards appointed me as interim chairman of the Coastal Protection Restoration Authority Board. My first meeting as interim was with President Lapine and his new coastal director. As the chairman just mentioned last night, I was very honored that Governor Edwards appointed me as the permanent chairman of the CPRA board. My first meeting as permanent chairman of the CPRA board is with the Plaquemines Parish Council. So I hope that that reflects my commitment to making myself available to you. And I want you all to know that I will always be forthcoming with information when I have it. I will always make myself and my staff available to you. I will never deliberately mislead you or lie to you. I know that some of these projects that we're implementing with the sediment diversions, they are contentious. Oftentimes people use the word controversial. But there are too many important things, restoration projects going on within this parish for the relationship between the state and Plaquemines Parish to not be a productive one. And that is why I'm here today. And so there are things that I have discussed with President Lapine that I think that we can do as a state to make ourselves more available to you. And one of those things that we're committed to doing is putting an employee, a CPRA employee, embed a person within Plaquemines Parish government office building, 1 to 2 days a week, to where if you as council members or you as the parish president would like information on some of these projects, you have a source that is one of our employees that you can go to at any point in time to get that information. Secondly, Mr. Chairman and members, if you look at the commitment that CPRA has to Plaquemines Parish within the master plan, outside of the sediment diversions, if you look at the restoration projects that are slated to be implemented in this parish over the next 10, 20, 30 years, you're looking at about 16 marsh creation projects. Literally billions of dollars on marsh creation projects that will be implemented in this parish. And next year alone, there is a $23 million Barataria Bay Rim Marsh Creation Project, which will create 250 acres of marsh. There is a Barataria Basin Ridge and Marsh Creation to the tune of about $124 million, which will create 1,100 acres of marsh. There is another large-scale marsh creation project that we are funding through some of the BPO spill dollars that will create an additional 1,400 acres of marsh. And then finally, there's the Mid-Breton Land Bridge Marsh Creation Project, which is actually in this parish of about $40.8 million, which will create 450 acres of marsh. And just last night, you heard the governor announce that over $9 million will be coming to Plaquemines Parish next fiscal year to do a levee lift in the Oakville area, as well as $7.5 million for a drainage canal relocation as part of New Orleans to Venice. And so I want you to know that we at CPRA are committed not only to a good relationship with Plaquemines Parish, but are committed to funding hurricane protection and coastal restoration projects within this area over the next several years. And if I could close with this, it has been stated by many of you that in the past we have only engaged the parish president in our efforts in our relationship with Plaquemines Parish government. And I want you to know that we will strive to do our best to do a better job of engaging you as a council, each individual member that sits on this council. You are all part of this, and I don't want us to ever be perceived as only going to President Lapine and his team. Obviously, we will be, but we want to have individual meetings with all of you to hear your concerns. And lastly, I just want to say that I realize that I'm on the east bank of Plaquemines Parish here. and I realize that this is Representative Ray Garofalo's district. I want to thank you for the work, or let you know that he does great work, but I want to specifically mention Representative Leopold. Representative Leopold represents this area in a way, in my opinion, that should make every single one of you proud. He is fair, he listens to both sides, and he does things the right way. And I just wanted to say that, put that on the record, that I very much appreciate my working relationship with him, and just know that he represents all of you in a very professional manner. So that's pretty much it, Mr. Chairman, but I look forward to working with all of you over the next several months and years.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Klein. I want to reiterate my congratulations, and I think everybody feels the same way. I think it's well-deserved, and we welcome you aboard. I know you helped us out tremendously under Mr. Bradbury, and were, at least for me, a conduit of communication, so a conduit to communication, so thank you for that. Ironically enough, this council just met in executive session, and afterwards we had some discussions about the collaboration and effort that we need to have with CPRA, and I think everybody is 100% on board to having a better relationship, because it is essential that we get together and put the projects in our master plan into play. So thank you for that, and you have our commitment as well. I also want to commend you on CPRA putting an employee here in Plaquemines Parish and having that person embedded with our government a couple of days a week. But I also implore you to take a look around this room and amongst this council, these council members, and utilize the institutional knowledge and expertise that we have here. I know a lot of people, and I'm looking at a couple now, that would be more than willing to volunteer their time, because they have done so to help out this council, better understand the issues we have with coastal restoration, coastal loss. So please do that. My office is always open to you. If you ever need to be on any type of agenda, please contact me, and you will definitely be on it. So thank you for that. I'm sure we have a couple of some comments, Mr. Russo. I'll give us a Bathala.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
I know we had conversations before,
Yes, sir.
and we still haven't resolved those concerns. We're at right now at a pass where we need to get one way or the other from CPRE whether or not they're going to approve or disapprove the permit to close the salinity control device, the freshwater diversion project, not project, but the land that eroded what they call Mardi Gras Pass.
Yes, sir.
That give us permission to close it so that we can make a vital industry have an opportunity to come back to preserve the way of life what it used to be in this area. And all was waiting is the permit approval from the CPRE. The Corps itself has no objections, and the only objection is right now, it's no objection, but no objection, no comment, no nothing from the CPRE. And the permit is in hand, is in the CPRE's hand, so they have to make that determination to support or disapprove. That's all I have, unless you have any comments on it.
I would, Councilman Bartholomew, and yes, that you and I have had several conversations on a lot of issues, and I commit to you that we'll continue to have those conversations. On Mardi Gras Pass specifically, the CPRA is only a reviewer of any permit that for a coastal use permit. We only review those permits for consistency with the master plan. We do not issue those permits. All of that is being done by the Department of Natural Resources. To this date, Councilman, we do not have a permit application for the closure of Mardi Gras Pass on our desk to review for consistency with the master plan. So I will make this commitment to you that I will call the Department of Natural Resources on my way back to Baton Rouge to see where that is, but it has not been delivered to CPRA for review for consistency with the master plan.
It has been advised by the state that the CPRA hasn't made their determination yet. That's the holdup. I'm just saying what they said to me.
I would be glad to follow you up and come back or send me, Mr. Chairman, some correspondence to clarify that.
Appreciate your efforts in trying to resolve that.
Yes, sir.
One way or the other. So we need to close the door one way.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Russo?
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Klein. I look forward to continue working with you in your new capacity. And I'd like to take you up on your offer of having someone embedded here and discussing the projects, and more specifically the projects that were announced yesterday.
Okay.
So the sooner the better. I know that this government has committed $3 million to that levy. We've already spent $1.5 million of that. I don't know exactly what has been accomplished with that $1.5 million, but we do have the other $1.5 million that's been encumbered but not spent. And so I think the coordination needs to be made so we know whether or not we can unencumber it, participate in the lift. And the question would be, if that's a $9 million lift, is that the total construction cost of that lift?
So, I'm sorry, I probably misspoke there. The total allocation for the levee lift and the $7.5 million for the drainage relocation, the total for both of those efforts is about $9 million, a little over $9 million. So the $1.5 million that we as a state would go towards that levee lift, and then if you all have the match to do that, but as I just told Representative Leopold, these are priorities that have been presented to us from the parish. If those parish priorities change over the next 3 months before the annual plan is finalized, we can reallocate those dollars to somewhere else. I mean, so I will defer to the council and to you, Mr. President, on where those you'd like. If you don't want that $1.5 million spent on that levee lift, we can look at other projects elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't think you ought to take that away from here. That's not exactly what we're saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying personally is that I was curious that $1.5 million, is that construction dollars?
That is construction, yes.
And so the $3 million that we put up and the $1.5 million that's been expended, are there plans and specs ready to go to bid?
It is my understanding, yes, that project will be going to construction in FY20. I don't know the exact month or timeline, but I'll be happy to follow up with that.
Yeah,
It
so
would
I'd
be-
like to have a meeting with you on that, and I'm
Okay.
sure the other council members whose districts are affected by this would like to do that as well. So
Sure.
without delaying you and making any more discussion, I would like to also include in that meeting the drainage canal relocation, because that's something new to me
Okay.
that I didn't realize was in the pipeline.
Mhm.
So
That's part of the New Orleans and Venice Hurricane Protection System as well. And I believe, Seth, we might just want to get our parish fact sheets to them that just gives a brief description of those projects. Every single project that's going to be moving forward within Plaquemines Parish over the next 3 years. We've got that spelled out in these fact sheets, so I'll be
I look
happy to
forward
get
to the
you.
meeting, and thank you very much for your...
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Codovich.
Yeah, congratulations on your appointee. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I've been to CPRA meetings already where they was doing just like Energy, bringing in people to take up the spots in the meeting where locals couldn't come. We couldn't ask a question. One lady was escorted out by the police because she wanted to ask questions. And this has a big interest in my district. And I'm here to work with you, but I'm here to work for my fishermen.
Understood. Understood. And I think, Councilman, look, as I've said before, I know that a lot of people that live and work in Plaquemines Parish are very concerned about these diversions. But I think as we move forward over the next several months, there is a way to be critical of these projects, to question them in a productive and constructive way without getting personal, without raising voices, that we as leaders should help facilitate those discussions to ensure that they're being held in the most productive way. And I give you my commitment that I don't want to ever see anyone be escorted from a meeting that we're holding. But if tempers start to flare and people start yelling, that's not a productive dialogue. And so I'll make every commitment to you that I will listen to any constituent that you have. And as I just said, I will always make myself available to you and the constituents of this parish. But we should be constructive or critical in a productive way, in a constructive way.
I agree.
Say that.
And I'm also the president of the Historical Association, and I brought maps to that meeting from the 1700s that show the river was never connected to the bays. As it built itself, it cut itself off. 1850 was when the jump, Baptiste, Colette, and Cubic's Gap was dug by people. From then, from 1850 to today, it's been open to the river. There's no land. That's my position on it. But I'm here to listen to your expertise and all, and I have an open mind where if you could change it, I'll back you.
I'll certainly try, sir. But
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. before I took office, right about the end of December, I called Mr. Klein, and at that time, he was interim Director Klein, and I said, the first meeting I want to have on January 3rd is with you, with CPRA, and tried to heal this fractured relationship. And we met, and at the time, you were interim director, and I expressed my concern, and I expressed my gratitude for allowing us to speak and get everything off our chest and start with a clean slate. And we have. And now, as of yesterday, you are now Director Klein. And I'm very proud to say that, and I'm very proud to say that we have a great relationship, and we should. But I strongly suggested in the meeting that Mr. Klein would direct all of, or most of the information to the council members, because I also sat on that side, and I understood the frustration when we were not given the information as the administration was. So together, we can make this work, and we will. And again, I want to congratulate you and thank you for that first open door meeting. I thought it was very positive, that was very informative. And this day forward, I want to let you know, this administration will always work to do the betterment of Plaquemines Parish. And again, they're part of the same team that we're all on. So thank you, Chip.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the public?
Wait, Don had something.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Besher. Hope this isn't the first.
Congratulations, Mr. Klein.
Thank you.
I'm Director of Operations, so I have a lot to do with levies. And I just want to thank you all, the CPRA, for everything that you all do. Most people don't know that, we're co-sponsors of our levies with you all. And there's a lot of things that you all do that we simply can't do. And there's a lot of things that you all pay for that I want to thank you for. But I hope we can continue going forward as it is. And thank you for your tolerance on us being late with some of the stuff in the past.
I've had my fair
that's helped
share
us
of
out
executive
tremendously.
committee meetings, so I understand.
Yeah, and I hope for your continued support, and anything you need from us, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Evans.
Congratulations on your position, Mr. Klein. Congratulations, Mr. Lapine, for this innovative endeavor. But I think one of the things that's missing in this relationship is that I'm glad that it's going to be opening up to council and executive branch together. But I think, as I told Mr. Lapine and I told Billy Mengesser, but there need to be a series of a workshop, a meeting in this parish from our coastal with fishermen and the council together to really have some serious dialogue about these projects, because the council has their experience as legislative, but you have fishermen and other people in this community who are impacted by these projects. Their voice need to be heard. And yes, and community people sometimes are very emotional when their livelihood is at stake. So therefore, maybe the voices raised up. We can talk about lowering their voices, but I think to make this genuine, there should be initial workshop or meeting where all parties come together and really honestly look at all these projects together and get all sides, and let's see where our difference is at and begin to work on it. Because the council have their position, each one of them have a different position, but you have fishermen that have their position, and you have other people I'm so used to calling you Mr. Hobo, but a Councilman Mark, is saying they're coming from a different view on this and from a historical perspective. And I just think that if we're going to do this right, I'm hoping, and I suggest this to Mr. Cormier when he first became president, is calling having some kind of conference or workshop where the legislative, the executive branch, and citizens come together and look at every project and talk about the pros and cons of it in a very productive way and a very honest way, and look at it and begin to resolve. Because there's a lot of fishermen who have some serious concern and say their voice is not heard. And I've been to so many master plans all around the state, but there's a lot of them can't go. So I'm glad that person going to be there. Also, that person can make itself available to not just to the council, but also to the fishermen and hear their concern. At least have a meeting with them and get the dialogue and get it back to. Anyway, congratulations. I think this is a start of something great and something new that's been needed. And so thank you, Mr. Cormier. I'm sorry, I got to get used to I told you at the church, I just got to get used to being in that position. Mr. Lapine. You did that Monday to me, too. Yeah, I know.
Mr. LaFrance?
I just want to congratulate you on your position. I look forward to working with you. Of course, these diversion that's proposed affects my district personally, but not only fishermen, but people that live in my community, the Myrtle Grove area, the Ironton area, the Lake Hermitage area, everyone concerned, especially the people that's going to be outside of levee protection. But again, there's hard feelings with CPRA because some of the people in the district feel like things is shoved down their throat, especially dealing with the soil boring and everything. So there hasn't been too much communication going on with the people of, especially in my community. But again, I look forward to working with you. And again, having people in my community also for you make a presentation to them. Again, some of the proposals that we hear, some of these they're expecting some of the areas to be raised, the water tide to be raised 3 foot. We hear about dead zone. We hear about red tide. We hear about water lilies. We hear a lot of things. And some of the people, when they built their homes, they drove up to their homes. Now they're concerned about they might have to take a boat to their home. So again, we need to hear things from the horse's mouth and not always hearing things what he say, she say. And again, I look forward working with you, and I'm going to hold your comments. I'm going to hold your comments to the floor. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Kendra Arneson, 280 Tangelo Drive, Beers, Louisiana. Welcome, Director Klein, and congratulations on your position. I was the lady that was thrown out of the CPRA meeting by the state police, and I did not raise my voice. In fact, Councilman Konovich was about 5 feet from me. I simply asked a question. The reason I brought this to your attention is because there is a lack of trust between the community and the CPRA. We've had the CPRA come into our communities and busload individuals in from outside. A lot of consultants were on those buses looking for positions, contracts. I understand that. But when the CPRA comes into those meetings, they have a tendency to give their presentation, say that they're going to afford us the time, the opportunity for questions and answers and for our concerns to be addressed, and nothing can be further from the truth, at least not at that meeting. And multiple other meetings that I've been to. That wasn't the only one I've been to. Every single meeting we're told that our concerns will be addressed and we'll have time for Q&A, and that hasn't been the process of things. So for the public scoping to go over the way that it needs to, that dialogue needs to occur. I'm a firm believer in that. We as a community, I represent many commercial fishermen. I do a lot of pro bono volunteer work for our commercial fishermen. I've been doing this for a little over 10 years now. And with that said, these people are my family, and I am very concerned about the sustainability of our future here in Plaquemines Parish. Plaquemines Parish houses the largest commercial fishing fleet in North America. People should really pay attention to that. We provide a huge economic engine for this parish, and that should have some level of respect, at least a level of respect to where we can come together, the commercial fishing industry, the state with the CPRA, the parish council, and work together. We keep hearing these terms, mitigation, adaptation. Well, everyone keeps asking us to adapt. We've adapted time and time again, storm after storm, project after project. We need these projects to adapt to what everyone needs, and that's responsible, reliable coastal restoration for everyone. The commercial fishing industry in Plaquemines Parish cannot be the sole trade-off for projects that we don't even know if it's going to build land. So we need to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, science is not cherry-picked, that we use all of the science available. In the past, I've met Brad Berry, your predecessor, and you were there for that meeting. Do you remember that day? It wasn't a very civil situation. I honestly felt like I was about to be in a bar fight. It was very uncivil. Right. This is not the way I conduct myself anywhere that I go. I'm not one to holler and scream. I've been doing this for a decade. So if someone came back to the CPRA and said someone was put out for raising their voice, nothing could be further from the truth. So I look forward, as someone in this industry, to working with this council and working with the CPRA. Let's all come together and actually make some progress and get some things done. We can't keep waiting for coastal restoration, but it has to be responsible and reliable for everyone. We cannot be the sole trade-off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Warren Lawrence, 120 Timothy Lane, Maple Grove. I just want to look at this as being an open slate. We start new, because we have met with CPRA for 5 years now. We've had meetings with our homeowners association. We told we're going to have an increase of water. We don't know how much. My only question today is, where is the EIS, and how long do we have to wait for it? We've been sitting back in no man's land. We know we won't be able to drive down the streets when it's running. That's not what we bought. We want to sit down. They were very cooperative in meeting with us, but they never gave us answers. I hope we start off new. We have a new councilman in our district. I hope he works with us to have an open dialogue. We want protection, but we also want to maintain our home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yeah, if I don't work with Mr. Lawrence, he will be knocking on my door every day.
Oh, we all know. We all know.
Look, congratulations, Mr. Klein, as chairman of the CPRA. But listen, hey, we got people livelihood that's big here. You guys are elected to protect the people. We got to get this thing right. We got to get it right. And you as chairman, could we make some commitments to attend some of these meetings? Because I know you're going to be over the whole state. You might send your subordinates here. But I really need to have a commitment where you, as the man in charge, could come and speak to the people here to make sure we all be on the same page here. You know what I'm saying? This is what we need. And I'm going to count on you three guys. You three guys got to protect the people, man.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, Mr. Blank?
Chip, thank you so much for coming down. I really appreciate it. It's an excellent gesture. I represent a split district, so about half of my residents are in the northern side of the parish, in Jesuit Bend, and the other half are in the lower end of the parish, the southern end of the parish, where it's a really diverse district. Folks from, for instance, the Cambodian fishing community in Buras, the folks that live out in Grand Bayou, the Oyster community of Empire, of which I kind of come from. And, I feel like I've kind of built my life around the coast, and it's something that from a really early age, I wanted to be, the person here fixing it. I wanted to build my life around turning around what we have, and what we have is some interesting timelines. On the short term, we're worried about impacts to our culture, our commercial fishing fleet, and on a longer term time frame, though, we have to balance that with the entire viability of the community. And some of the projections that we're facing here are really dire, and I understand and appreciate the thought and time you put into balancing those, because I know what it's like to stare at my ceiling at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to figure those things out. And again, just really appreciate your time coming here and working to help develop trust with the community. It's much needed. And again, thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, Mr. Klein, thank you so much, and we, unless you have any closing remarks, wish you well when you travel back to Baton Rouge.
I'll just be quick, and, look, I know that, I can only make a commitment to you right now in words, but I at least, at the very least, hope that my presence here today shows you that I am committed to doing exactly what all of you just said. is making myself not available just to you and this council, but to the public. And so there is a series of community meetings that we will be having in Plaquemines Parish. Mr. Seth Irby, who's back here, does a lot of our outreach and engagement on behalf of CPRA, and I would be happy to attend those meetings in person. You, sir, asked specifically about the EIS. So the EIS is the process that we as a state are required to go through in order to get a permit. And the EIS, as required by federal law, are required to analyze every single impact that this parish could experience as a result of that diversion. And if an impact is identified, then we as a state have to make a decision. What are we going to do to address that impact? And if we can't address that impact, guess what? We don't get a permit. So I'm going to say this again. We as a state are committed to addressing every single impact that comes out of this environmental impact statement. And if we cannot develop a mitigation plan to address these impacts, we can't get a permit from the federal government. And it's literally as simple as that. And so the EIS, we're going through that process now. I believe a draft EIS is going to be finalized, Seth, end of 2019, so end of this year. And I have had conversations with President Lapine on this. Because this project is on what we call the federal dashboard, President Lapine has the ability as the chief executive officer of this state, I assume that would be your role, I don't know what the relationship is like with the chairman, but I know that you have been reached out, your predecessor has been reached out to be a participating agency or a participating party throughout that EIS. And I have encouraged President Lapine to take the Corps of Engineers up on that request so that his office is getting the same information that we're getting. He's getting the information that we are providing through the models and everything that we're giving to the Corps of Engineers that looks into these impacts, so that he has full visibility as parish president on what exactly the impacts associated with this project are. And then it's our job, and the commitment that I'm making to all of you, is to come in here to the community and explain what these impacts are, what we're facing, how we are planning on approaching them. So I just hope that my presence here is telling that I'm committed to reestablishing this relationship, and I remain committed to attending any meeting that you'd like for me to attend. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And it definitely is a loud message. All right, with that, I do want to recognize a couple folks in the audience. Our clerk of court, Kim Turlidge-Vaughan, thank you for coming. And as Mr. Klein said, our state representative from 105, Mr. Chris Leopold, also the vice chair of Natural Resources, so let Gullah govern and get $9 million up. You know, I couldn't let you walk away without that.
Can I say one thing?
Sure, we're waiting. Thank you, because Betty just bought me lunch.
I just have one thing.
As long as you got no throat on the bridge, you can't get no up.
I just had to bait him.
There's a public hearing on the annual plan, which these two projects are in, on January 30th at the New Orleans Lakefront Airport, 6001 Stars and Stripes Boulevard, from 6 to 7 p.m. So that's the opportunity for public input on the annual plan, which was part of what the governor announced yesterday. So I just wanted to make that announcement public and invite anyone to come that would like to see the process in action. But that's the one in New Orleans.
Thank you. Mr. Russo.
Those public meetings, though, they take comment as well?
It's on the record, I believe.
And so can we get briefed before that so we can make intelligent comments on the projects? Okay. We'll look forward to that briefing before the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Leopold. All right, let's go ahead and move to, we have no proclamations. Mr. Lapine, status report, please.
Mr. Chairman, can I yield to resolution so Ms. Brenda can get on her way?
Yeah,
Okay, well then, I was trying to get you back to work, see? All right, well, I'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Status report for today. Well, just a few items about, we had a meeting with GOSEP on Friday. Rennie, my lady parish attorney went, Patrick Harvey and Hilda Lott attended a very open table, round table discussion with GOSEP. There was a question at the last meeting from Mr. Russo about GOSEP money maybe being available. There is some available money in what's called the PW9, and what's the lady's name?
She's the PA director.
Yeah, she was the PA director, that it's going up, of course, the food chain of FEMA, but she said we should know something about 30 days. After those 30 days come back, they could have more questions from FEMA. But we are close, we identified it's $4.3 million, and it's called PW9. So, I want to thank Mr. Bartholomew and Mr. Reverend Edwards, I got your name right, okay? Enjoyed our day down here Monday with the Martin Luther King tribute and the parade. There's a couple of things going on, I just want to put out there. There's a chili cook-off at the Cypress Cove, there's a chili cook-off at the Hearts Exxon on Saturday at 12 o'clock. But also at 3 o'clock at the Cypress Cove Marina, there's a presentation we're going to give to a gentleman, I don't know if anybody was familiar with, coming down the Mississippi River, who sold all his possessions. He had cancer. He's on a boat with his dog, and he stopped at various points of people helping him out, and he'll be at the Cypress Cove on Saturday at 3, and we'll be presenting him some stuff with Plaquemines Parish and welcoming him then. So, there is a grand opening of the Dollar General store in Jesuit Bend on Saturday at 7:45 before its opening. There's a ribbon cutting. There is a Plaquemines Family Mardi Gras Parade on the East Bank, Sunday, March 3rd. Paws is having some discounted spray and neuter shots, not shots, but spray and neuter for the animals. Wednesday is the last day that they have it, at the 30th. On January 31st, the Woodlands Conservatory is having will host Save Our Spring concert at New Orleans Jazz Market. The Croatian American Society Food Expo will be held February 23rd in Jesuit Bend at their facility there from 11 to 6. And again, I welcome any comments, any questions for anybody. And again, I wanted to thank Chip for being here, but he already left, so I'll open the floor to any questions.
I'd like any questions, comments from the table?
Yeah, I'd like to ask some questions.
Mr. LaFrance?
I know we spoke earlier that you're planning on attending Washington, D.C. Could you let me know, let the council know what meetings you planning on attending?
Mr. LaFrance, let me put it out this. I am attending Washington Conference on my nickel, and it's a little bit of vacation time for me from campaigning. I don't have, I'm taking my wife, and we're getting away, so I don't have any, per se, meetings scheduled. I am attending a bunch of functions as is president, but to say I have a lot of meetings, it's not a lot of time to have meetings. I'll be going back and forth if I need to, but this is the time that I'm taking a little time off.
Okay.
Speaking of Mardi Gras, our attorney Danny Garrett bought a king cake, and if anybody wants some, it's on the little podium right outside these double doors. So thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Huh? I think he wants to. Any other questions or comments from the table? Any from the audience? All right.
President Kurt Lepine. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Thank you. And upstairs, as I told you, it's just a slip of the tongue, but I not mean to be disrespectful. As I told you, I'm committed to work with you, but you know I'm going to call what I see. As long as you don't take it personal, then I think we're going to be all right. But I look forward to working with you to make this parish a great parish, and I think just the meeting today with Mr. Klein is a beginning start, and I really want to express to you, as I did to Mr. Cormier, to bring the council and the fishermen together with him as the initial meeting would be very innovative in itself, because that's where everybody can hear the same thing at the same time, and everybody can put this stuff out there regardless of how it come out, but people need to know that they can come together, the parish government and other government agencies together. That, to me, would be a great start around coastal restoration, because there is a divide between the council member, the executive branch and fishermen within this community, and this is one way to bring that together. So I look forward to work with you, President.
Can I address that? Because when I did have that meeting with Mr. Klein, and now I sit on this side of the table, I specifically said, please include all the council members, because that was very frustrating that we never received information. So I made that clear. So,
Thank you, President Lapine.
thank you, Mr. Evans.
Warren Lawrence, again, just one question, is there any update or anything on Port Eads?
We have one coming on the discussion later on today, yeah. All right, any other questions or comments?
Yeah,
Mr. Brown?
I'd like to thank the parish president for his comments at the Martin Luther King March on the East Bank. And it's really was outstanding, appreciate the effort, and also the procedures in moving forward of trying to unify the parish as a whole. And that was the theme of it, to unify. And that's a tribute to true leadership. So I just want to appreciate that, those comments.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, with no other comments or questions, let's go ahead and go to bids and advertisements, please.
2A, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of bids for furnishing sandbags for a period of 1 year for parish-wide, for use parish-wide.
Law firm. Second. That was without it. Ms.
Yes, sir. After due advertisements, bids were received January 15th for furnishing sandbags for a period of 1 year for parish-wide use from Johnny Pack of Crowley, Louisiana. It's my recommendation that we accept the only bid of John Pack. Bid items 1 and 2. Item 3 had no bids.
All right, thanks. I'm not sure there's any correlation with this. The only comment I have is we have a ton of old sandbags that are busted up and dilapidated on the government complex. So I'm not sure if that's reusable material or whatever else, but I mean, I just,
The sand probably is, but the sandbags,
yeah. I mean, it's just, it needs to be.
deteriorate.
Yeah, it's blocking up a couple roads, through roads. So if we can try to, I'm not sure if with Director Don, maybe if they can reduce our cost of materials by utilizing some of that. I don't know.
On the small bags, it's a little bit difficult to get your money back out of them, so sometimes we just dump them where we can dump them.
Yeah, you may use them for fill. so.
Now, the large bags, we'll pick them up and bust them open so we
Okay.
get the use out of the sand again, so,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them out there.
yes.
All right, thanks. Mr. Russo?
Mr. Stanford, the price that was bid, is it normally that price, or has it gone up?
I don't have last year's prices with me, but it seems to be, it's .16 cents per bag, so that seems to be within range. And then the larger bag, the $11.50, I think, from my memory, it's very close to last year.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments on that one? With none, audience, none? All right, open for vote. All right, we have one more that's not on the agenda, but it's,
It's an add-on, yes,
yeah,
sir?
it's an add-on.
I have a resolution authorizing the disposal of a double-wide trailer located at 208 Avenue G in Belchase, where the cost of sending to auction would be more than the cost of disposal. So it's my recommendation that we just dispose of the trailer.
Okay, I'll offer. Ask for a second. Mr. Russo. I apologize, Mr. Gould, for this is in your district, but I've been trying to work on this thing for 4 years to get these things removed.
If you want.
So, yeah, so this is basically the PDO's trailer that is totally dilapidated and needs to be removed. I want to thank Mr. Mike Metcalf for his report as well, and getting that taken care of on the other building. This whole corner needs to be cleaned up, so thanks for that. And yeah, so anybody have any questions or comments from the table on that one?
You mentioned about the
Sir?
dilapidated building in that area. That's what you said.
Well, we have, so this is.
The only question I'm talking about, the pumpkin. You get rid of
So we have, so, yeah, so I went out there today. I talked to the sheriff's office. They're removing, so right now there are 3 small white trailers that the sheriff's office owns. Actually, 2 double wide, 1 double wide and 2 small trailers. The last small trailer for us is this double wide here. We have the DA's building that's been ordered to be demolished and removed. So the remaining buildings that will be there is a large pumpkin, and there's a smaller pumpkin, which is a double wide. So that's going to be the next one to come up on the agenda. But they have to do a better analysis on, assessment on the pumpkin, because that's, I think, a little bit more complicated.
Right. And I did speak to the fire department yesterday about the smaller pumpkin.
Yeah.
And they are trying to get with the mover. He keeps saying that the weather is impairing him from actually moving it. So it's in the works, so I did
Yeah.
leave a message that we got to get it done.
And they have a PO issued on that already, right?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
All right, so if you can just, please, I'm not sure who's, Mr. Eppley, get that expedited, to get that mover to get moving. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, without that, any more comments or questions? None? Machine's open.
Thank you.
All right, beer and liquor licenses, Mr. Bartholomew.
Yes, I have one. Phoenix High School Alumni Association, P.O. Box 1235, Brickway, Louisiana. Would like to have a parade at the Day Event Community Center dated 3rd of March 1920 at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Albro.
I have one. Cody B's LLC, 8134 Highway 23 in Belchase.
Mr. Gooey. Mr. Russo. None for me.
I have one. Louis Thompson, Thompson Kitchen, 105 Carmela Drive, Old South, Louisiana, 737.
Mr. Blank.
I have one, it's for John Tesevich. It's care of the Croatian American Society, and the event is going to be on the 23rd of February.
I have three. Changes Restaurant LLC, 42939 Highway 23, Venice 70091. The Blitz Sports Bar LLC, 35927 Highway 23, Buras, Louisiana 70041. And Ducks Unlimited, 152 Jesuit Bend Drive, Belchase, Louisiana. It'll be at the auditorium, March the 23rd. That's all.
I offer.
Thanks for a second.
Second.
Question.
Mr. Albro. Any questions, item, comments from the audience?
Question been called.
I don't agree with the question, that rule.
Give me a vote.
My turn? Any, no questions or comments? All right, machine's open.
Go to 6A1. Move to 6A1.
All right. All right, we're going to move to a couple items to clear them up. Let's go to 6A1.
An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Section 6, Paragraph 1, Subsection 1 of Paragraph 1, Subsection 3, and Paragraph K, Subsection 1 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended and recommended by Plaquemines Parish Development Board, Resolution Number 19-1 dated January 22, 2019, according to the minutes of its meeting held on January 22, 2019. Is that correct, Amit? With reference to application number 2018-345 dated October 25, 2018.
Mr. Baldwin.
Offer with those changes.
Ask for a second.
Second.
Ms. Karyovic, seconds. Mr. Baldwin. Any other comments?
Ready for it. This thing we've been dealing with for
Yeah,
5
right.
months.
Any questions or comments from the table? From the audience? All right, with none, machine's open. And it passes 9-0.
With that, Mr. Chairman, we're going to withdraw B.
All right, withdraw B. All right, let's go back to, want to do, want to go to Portage now? All right, the president asked to move to item
7C,
7C.
discussion report regarding Port Eads, Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we received a letter by way of email saying that the facility was not going to be managed by the people that are managing it any longer. That prompted a visit at the request of Councilman LaFrance, and that tour happened last Monday, and we had several council members in the group, no more than 5. We had 4, Mr. Albro, myself, and Ms. Newberry. Mr. Conovich didn't make it, and Mr. LaFrance. And we toured the facility and viewed it, and then that prompted some more questions, and as a result of those questions, we sent an email out asking some further questions. Those questions were responded to last night by the Port Eads Fish and Refuge, and at this time, I think the administration has some information to share with us, and I guess we have to develop a plan as to what we do with this $14 to $15 million facility that we have sitting there. So I'll turn it over to the administration for their comments.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. We did get a series of questions that were posted for the Port Eads refugee, and I hope that they answered all the questions. We didn't know all the answers. We did have a conference call Tuesday night with Port Eads Refuge High Adventure and Robert Perez. And, well, Jacques Cushion with the... So, in the course of the conversation, we tried to get down to what was the main problem or the main concerns, and of course it's South Pass. It's about getting down the South Pass. It's about getting boats down the South Pass. It's a logistic nightmare. So in the course of the conversation, this was just thrown on us in the last couple of weeks or so, and the council members went down there, and I appreciate their input also. But as we got part of the conversation, I think High Adventures doesn't have much of a choice but to pull out. So I guess our last ditch effort to them was to try to extend their lease or to extend their stay about 3 months. Give us ample opportunity to put our heads together, to figure out what we're going to do with Port Eads, have some brainstorming ideas of what could go there, what we need to probably put there, or what we could go in contract with. So there are some ideas that we have. I welcome some of your ideas, some of the ones who ventured down to Port Eads, to give us some ideas. We know that if it's not manned, we're going to have to put security on it. It comes with a high price tag. So I'm going to turn it over to Rennie to give you some of the legal aspects of it and some of the conversation he talked about.
No, I'm just available for, if you guys have any specific questions related to the legal aspect of the arrangement. I know we spoke earlier, maybe this isn't the appropriate place to do it this time, but I think that the parish president was more or less on point where we just pleaded with them to consider staying there for at least another 3 months. That would buy us some time. Obviously, High Adventure's experience there for the last 5 years. They have lots of knowledge. They've learned a lot. I think they have a lot of ideas to throw our way about what we can do, and they also said that they would potentially be willing to partner with us. Obviously, it probably wouldn't be the same arrangement that they currently have, but the gentleman said he loved Port Eads, and he wants to see all his hard work continue to succeed. So he had some ideas. I asked them if they would be willing to meet with us next week. We plan, I don't think it's scheduled yet, but we intend to meet with him and go over all of his ideas. Obviously, our default is what we had done before. In Mr. Bill Surpass, we basically did an RFP to find security. And if I remember right, about 5 years ago, the security cost us about $400 a day. Obviously, you have to have a vessel to carry that security agent back and forth. And really, the building and the structure requires about 24-hour security protection. So we would have someone there the whole, 24 hours a day. So that's where we are. And any other questions?
More a comment than a question. This is a facility that serves a certain segment of the population, definitely not the major portion of our population. And since we are struggling with finances to be able to provide services to our general population, it would be very difficult for me to support funding this facility. And I made jokes about the things that I would fund would be some plywood to board it up or something to that effect. But I can't see us getting into any arrangements that's going to be financially a burden on the government. I think we ought to sell it, do something to that extent, because once we start and we open the door to funding security at $400 a day or whatever it's going to be, I don't see an end to it. And especially if the Higher Venture Group is looking for a, quote, partner. I mean, we are a partner. We gave them a $15 million facility for free. They operated it for 5 years. They turned it over to a for-profit company. And if that for-profit company could not make it work, I don't know how we could make it work. So it's kind of a situation that I don't see as an easy out. I know that some other members had some ideas that might work, but I think we need to find another agency to man it. And if security becomes an issue, I think we ought to send a Port Authority boat down there. They're on call, on the payroll 24 hours a day until we work this out. To come out of the general fund with funds, I don't see myself voting for that. Just want to let the administration know what my position is, and that's just one. And if majority decides to go that direction, so be it. But I've been here before when Port Eads was opening the doors to more funding, and there's no end to it. It's just like a boat. It floats in the water, and you throw money in the hole. And I think that's what we got here. Even though it's a nice facility, it was built for a certain segment of the population. So, and then with the details that came out about that population building their own $1 million clubhouse at Cypress Cove, I think our main customers are wrong. So, anyway, that's just my thoughts on the issue from the questions that I raised and some of the answers that I got. And I'll leave you with that, and hopefully that we can work something out. But I hope it doesn't become a financial drain on the government.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, I would like to thank the council members for taking an effort and an interest in going visit. And I also want to thank Mr. Klein and Mr. Briones Rennie for taking the initial step of trying to remedy the situation through their efforts making communication available to the public about what's going on and trying to get someone to come in and manage this facility. Because it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, because just as Mr. Roussel stated, it's not a money-making thing for us, and we sure don't have the money to put out there to comfort a segment that we don't even see of the population of private parish of taking the money from the parish itself that is so much in need of more infrastructures than rather support something that really the population won't benefit from. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Mr. Kotovich?
Can we get a copy of the agreement between the council and the nonprofit, and then the nonprofit and High Adventures? Because the email we got, somebody's due some money, and it shouldn't be us.
So I believe you probably should have received all the documents. I thought the entire council was copied on that, and that should have been the resolution authorizing the creation of the Port East Fishing Refuge. It should have been the establishment of the Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, the agreement between the Port East Fishing Refuge and High Adventure. So if you don't have all those documents, certainly I will re-email them to you. And you're correct. The agreement between the Port East Fishing Refuge and High Adventure, one of the issues is consumables. And so my reading was that if there were any outstanding consumables, that those would be reimbursed to High Adventure. What I will tell you is that agreement is between the Port East Fishing Refuge and High Adventure. It's not between the parish and those groups. However, I think we're working with High Adventure. I'm hoping we can, resolve those issues. I think the big issue is fuel, right? So High Adventure bought fuel. The fuel is sitting there. If they leave the lease, then the fuel is there for our use. So I think that's where that's coming from.
But they had a management fee and then a accounting fee that was still...
Excuse me, Mr. Karlovic, we're not picking you up on the audio.
It was still a management fee of over $200,000 and a accounting fee of around $80,000. So who's gonna pay that?
Well, listen, I was not part of the management, and I didn't write the contract or the agreement. So I'm learning just as you are. I just received the email and discovered that. Obviously, that would be one of the topics of discussion that we would have at the meeting next week between High Adventure, the Port East Fishing Refuge, and the government, and I think we can hopefully work those issues out.
Excuse me. I think Ms. Bartholomew has something. I'll get you right back to you, Mr.
Go
Blunt.
ahead, I wait.
No, go ahead.
What role does the nonprofit play into this, as being an agency that runs that police? Do they have, what's their legal thing involved? Do they have any legal rights in that, in this?
Yes, sir. So this is kind of going back when I was an assistant parish attorney. Then parish attorney, Mr. Palazzo, asked me to, we all knew Port East was coming online, and obviously it was a federal facility. You had the news media down there. It was paid for with federal funds. The news media was there, and we needed to come up with a plan, and a plan passed. And I think we all understood at that point that the government itself didn't have the resources, the ability, or the know-how to find a tenant to come occupy this facility in a short time. So I was asked to do some research by, like I said, by the parish attorney, Mr. Palazzo. It being a public asset and public property, it would have to come under state law, and there's a certain process under state law that would require us to bid it out and go through the normal processes. But when I was researching that law, there's an exception, and the exception is that the parish could create what's called a public benefit corporation, a nonprofit essentially, and hand that over to the public benefit corporation, which is what the Port East Fishing Refuge was. And if you saw those emails, you'll see where the council passed a resolution creating the nonprofit, and then you'll also read the Articles of Incorporation of the nonprofit, which kind of explain it meets the criteria set out in the statute. So they are a legal entity. They were created by the council to handle this issue. And the thinking at the time was that you had several people like Mr. Kutcher, who was in the finance world, Mr. Perez, who had experience down there, and people beyond the knowledge and expertise in the legal department who were going to have a more successful chance of finding a tenant to be able to monetize that. And so that was the whole purpose of setting that up. So I can assure you that everything was done legally and properly, and for at least 5 years, most of the burden of Port East has not been on the government. It's actually been on the Port East Fishing Refuge and High Adventure. So at least for 5 years, we had a solution. Obviously, they weren't able to monetize it. I think they would even tell you that they could monetize it. The problem is South Pass, the boats that they need to make it successful can't reach Port East because of the draft.
That wasn't really my concern about that. It was mainly concerned about what we're trying to do now, negotiate. I'm trying to reestablish something in reference to get someone to take it over. Should they be a part of that process, the non-profit group, or we just, as a governmental entity, the council, can just move forward without them being a part of this process?
Yes, sir. Because the nonprofit was set up by this body, I believe if you all passed a resolution, you could therefore rescind the Port East Fishing Refuge, and that's provided for in these rules. Now, with that understood, Mr. Bartholomew, if that's the case, we lose a lot of flexibility that is allowed under the statute that applies only to public benefit corporations. If the government becomes exclusively responsible, we're going to have to follow public leasing law. And what that's going to require is that we go out for advertisement, we go out for bids, the highest bidder in this situation wins, and that's the problem we're going to face. So, my recommendation would be to let's see what proposals are made and and see, I don't want to lose the flexibility we currently have under the law, so...
That's my point.
Yes, sir.
That is my point.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Blake?
Sure. Rennie, I appreciate your work on this already. There's been a lot of communication going back and forth. I was curious if, it seems like we need to do a bit of triage here. Is there sort of a short, medium, and long-term plan for the facility? Since the parish, has budgetary issues, it would make sense maybe for an existing parish employee that is capable of running a boat, changing oil in a generator, to be down there. I don't think we need to have a, like maybe $400 a day security detail, guy packing a gun when, the person down there right now just, fuels boats and gives people ice. For the long term, it would be great to have, the pass dredged and managed to meet current conditions and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers practices, and funds that we could reasonably expect to get, to fund dredging in a deauthorized channel. For instance, when folks have made attempts to go get dredging for South Pass, they want it ship deep and ship wide, and that's a way of managing the low river that was really popular 50 years ago, and just it's maybe unreasonable. And if maybe if we could try again, we could potentially get the pass dredged in a way that could accommodate the draft of the vessels that use that facility, and could actually narrow the pass. For instance, instead of dredging the material and putting it way out into the wildlife refuge, maybe it needs to be deposited in the pass itself to make the pass narrower and self-scouring, which would achieve that goal of keeping the pass deep enough for those vessels. But I mean, are there any sort of short, medium, and long-term plans? Ideally, with the long-term having it as a mixed-use facility where there could potentially be some research, maybe some industrial use, maybe some recreational use down there, or do we need to meet as a group and get that going on? Well, I think the short-term solution is to let's see what High Adventure puts on the table to at least buy us some time. We're hoping it'll be at least 3 months. I know that Mr. Kutcher has been preaching kind of the message you've just had and has reached out to many folks all across the state who would be the persons to kind of make these decisions. I have not been involved in the back and forth negotiations with the World of that, so I certainly would encourage you to reach out to him, or I'll ask him to reach out to you so that he can better explain to you why we haven't been successful on that up to this point. I think all options are on the table, from having a parish employee be down there to hiring a security firm to selling the property, perhaps negotiating something with the federal government or the state. Really, all options are on the table, and ultimately, because it's a financial burden and because it is property, it's this body, the council, who's going to have to make that ultimate decision. I just know that it's a very expensive asset that we have down there, and certainly want to do all we can to protect it until a formal solution is had. Is there a final date when those folks will be out? Is it the 31st? Well, they told us the 31st, but we were expecting a call from them any moment to let us know what their proposal or their offer is. Thank you.
Yes, Sonovich.
Well, I've already been contacted by one parish employee, said he'd be willing to do it. Number two, can we go after the Corps engineers, because they're the ones who's filling the pass. They dump it in the front, and that's what's filling it where boats can't get down.
Mr. Gouy?
Yes, a few meetings ago, we established...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Bioris and Mr. Lapine, with the meeting with the individuals that we're discussing for these...
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Dr. Gouy. I'm sorry.
With the meeting, is that next week?
Yeah, it hasn't been scheduled. I know Mr. Burrow and Mr. Kutcher were picking a date for us, but our intention is to have it next week, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's some realities that we have to face. As much of a jewel Port Eads is, when we can't get to it, we got to look somewhere else. If we don't come up with something where the government has to put out $0, we'll have a liability. We have a liability now, we have to get rid of our liabilities. We can't be putting any money into it, like Benny said. You can't. You just can't do it. even if we had the money, we can't do that. But it is, without a doubt, it is an asset. And it's unfortunate that it has no road to it, that it's 30 miles from Venice, and not being able to get to it because of the South Pass issue. And that's a real problem. I'm asking that we really look into ways to unload that liability. And I don't know what direction to take, if it's oil and gas, if it's federal agency, whatever. We need to really look at all of our options because we can't hold on to this thing. I mean, you know, government getting into business, you know it's going to fail. You know it's going to fail. Now we had a profitable internationally known company come in that couldn't make it work. And I think we know the answers. We know the answers, so we need to come up with something quick.
Yes, one question. A few meetings ago, I thought they had established a committee, and they asked, I volunteered to be on the committee. And I know there were other public people involved in this committee, and we have not heard a thing. Is there a committee or is there not a committee? I mean, if I was voted on, I was put on the committee, and I've never heard a thing about it. I don't know if there is a committee actually that you...
So, are you to blame? Put you on a committee, then it dissolves? What happened?
I don't know. Mr. Bartholomew brought it up. Y'all voted on myself and another person to be on the committee.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The chairman, I think, would be Jock Kuchar. And I think if...
Am I correct? But I mean... is there a committee?
We called a meeting with the 3 people that we appointed, and there's 2 other people that hasn't been elected.
Mr. Russo?
Mr. Lawrence, after the meeting, I will give you a contact number who has been contacting us, or I'll get it from one of the members, and you can contact him and tell him you're a new board member and you'd like to be part of the negotiations.
I am a board member?
Yeah, we appointed you.
Okay. I didn't hear that. I mean, it's going on.
You'll get a check?
Ms. Newberry?
Thank you. Rennie, what I'd like to know, can you hear me? Have we received any financial reports on, is this High Adventure, has it been holding its own? Is it making a profit? Is it, do you know?
No, ma'am, no profit to
Is it sustainable?
No, the only financial documents we received were the ones that, I think Mr. Russo's questions, there was 1 or 2 attachments there, and it wasn't so much financial documents as it was a sort of an email with some figures on it. I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at them precisely, and I think
See
it
any,
was
so
like...
I was just wondering if the place was even sustainable,
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
financially sustainable.
No, they're not making it, well, that's why they're pulling out, because they're not making a profit, and they've advertised and marketed this Port Eads around the world, and so, you know, obviously, if they're having a hard time monetizing it, and basically, what their stance was, is that without South Pass being dredged, the boats are inaccessible, and they're never going to be able to turn a profit. He seemed to indicate to me on the phone that if South Pass had the draft, that he thinks he could monetize it and make it a successful enterprise.
Thank you.
Yes. Like my question was 2 weeks ago. The parish on police.
Yes.
They have the title?
Yes.
Okay. That's settled. Now that be settled, I can't see for the life of me. We must spend $14 million on it. Well, I was against it 6, 7 years ago when the deal came about. When the PW came about Port Eads, I was totally against that. We have put $14 million now. A lot of people could have had their houses built. $14 million. We got something there. Look, you gotta let that go. The people
The people are not benefiting from that. The people are not benefiting. Why you have a non-profit organization run something, just like I said about the court, the people are not making any money off of that deal. Somebody gotta come talk to me about what are we doing government and we in a financial crisis, what we supporting something that we're not making any money off. For the life of me, I can't understand that. I can't understand it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I will make one.
All right, Mr. LaFrance?
Well, Mr. Henry, I have the same sentiments. I think it's sinful, I think it's shameful to have a $15 million facility down there where no one in the parish can use. That's a shame. It's a shame. I had the opportunity, and some of the board members, we went down there to go see it. A beautiful facility, but it's where less than 0.0 people in the parish can use. But I got an answer for it. We're going to think out the box. We're going to move it to Port Sulphur.
Brenda, give us an advertisement to move Port Eads up the road. Anyway, all right, with that, let's clear some stuff out. Let's go to construction permits. If we can, go 4A, 1 through 5 in global, please. If anybody has any objections to moving construction permits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in global, speak now. All right, none, global.
1, Locks LLC application number 2018-741 dated October 31st, 2018. Dredge existing slip, install power clusters and drill the Yorktown A prospect and install wellhead protector, Lake Washington Field, Councilmember Blank. Locks LLC application number 2019-14 dated January 4th, 2019. Install borough pit, ditch, ring levee, board road, and land-based drilling rig to drill the Diamond Prospects, Diamond area, Councilmember LaFrance. Number 3, Time Energy LLC application number 2019-16 dated January 4th, 2019. Remove existing 4.5-inch flow line, Rec Bay and Second Bay, Councilmember Bartholomew. Number 4, Shell Pipeline Company, application number 2019-18, dated January 7, 2019. Install an additional 1,000 feet, and in parentheses, 982 feet, of mats on the Delta Loop Pipeline Main Pass Area Block 80, Councilmember Bartholomew. And number 5, Hillcore Energy Company, application number 2019-42, dated January 16, 2019. Install 3-inch flow line and 2-inch gas lift line, Lake Grand Calais area, Councilmember Blank.
Member Offer? No. Nobody offers, Mr. Blank seconds. Any questions or comments on those? With none, machine's open. Mr. Bartholomew? All right, pull it. We have passes 6 yeas, 2 abstentions from myself in District 9, 1 no vote from District 1. All right, if you would, let's do let's do C, D, E, and F in global. That's the firework ones. Anybody have any objections to those firework ones in global? All right, none. Let's move on those 4, please.
Okay, so B, C, D.
No, C, D, E, and F. I'm sorry, B too, yeah, B as well, yeah.
Okay, B through
All right,
F.
yeah, B through F.
B, the Clubhouse Barn Grill, Inc., fireworks stand renewal, 8133 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Black. C, wholesale fireworks, Kurt Cavalier fireworks stand renewal, 7614 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Roussel. Ducks Fireworks, Donald Durr fireworks stand renewal, 7010 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Roussel. E, Ducks Fireworks, Donald Duck Fireworks Stand Renewal, 9127 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana. Councilmember Gooey. And Ducks Fireworks, Donald Durr Fireworks Stand Renewal, 9590 Highway 23, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Gui.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Mr. Russo? Any questions, comments?
Me. I have a hard time voting for this after a recent accident with one of our constituents in this parish. I'm sure everyone's familiar with. So please keep him in our prayers, but we will continue business, so.
No, I agree. Any questions or comments from the table? Any from the audience? All right, with no machines open. Passes 9-0. If we can do the remainder, G, H, I, J, K.
G, Jim's RV, Jim Boyd Trailer Park Renewal, Shadow Lane, Boothville, Louisiana, Councilmember Koknovich. H, Riverside Trailer Park, Jim and Janelle Boyd, Trailer Park Renewal, Riverside Lane, Boothville, Louisiana, Councilmember Koknovich. Southern Oaks Mobile Home Community, Inc., Thomas Gorman, Trailer Park Renewal, 300 East 3rd Street, Belle Chase, Louisiana, Councilmember Black. J, United Bulk Terminals, Trailer Park Renewal, 15015, Highway 15, Dave Ant, Louisiana, Councilmember Bartholomew. And K, Redfish Factory LLC, Anthony Randazzo, conditional approval, 2019 Trailer Park for 4 spaces, 37813 A-D, Highway 23, Triumph, Louisiana, Councilmember Koknovich.
Ask for an offer. Mr. Koknovich offers, Mr. Blank seconds. Any questions or comments?
Let me make a comment.
Mr. LaFrance?
I don't know if this is the situation or not, but a lot of time when we allow these trailer parks, we allow these companies to hire people outside of our parish that come in and live in these trailer parks just so for their job while they're working, and then they leave outside the parish. So I'm just want to put that out.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, with no machines open. Mr. Tolliver? And it passes 9-0. Let's pass over 5. Let's get to the agenda. Anybody, Angie or Brenda, y'all need to go? Y'all have anything y'all need on here? Then push. You need G? Yeah, let's get LV and Angie out. LV? Let's move to G.
6G, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan by appropriating $1,594,389 from the Corps of Engineers for the acquisition of roads, land, easements, rights-of-way, relocations, and disposal sites for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers NOV storm protection levee projects from Oakville to Venice and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
So offered. And I ask for a second.
Ask for a second. Skotovich seconds.
And I'll yield to Attorney L.V. Cooley.
Mr. Cooley.
Yes, this ordinance is to fund continued services from GCR, a consulting company we worked with on these NOV levies and other levies in the parish, to do their professional services in making the acquisitions of land rights that are needed for these levy projects. Essentially, we've got 7 projects left. The estimates for the cost for GCR services for doing that is outlined in the ordinance, and we've supplied you with backup information that supports a task order for an amendment to our current contract with GCR to fund their services. About 100% of these services are reimbursable from the Corps, and if there are detailed questions you have, I've asked Steve Gurgis with GCR to be present to answer those questions for you.
Any questions from the table? Mr. Russo?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gurgis and Mr. Elvey, for being here today. I spoke to you before the meeting, and it's my understanding that this 1.5 is strictly for preparation of acquisition of property. This will not include any property purchases. This is strictly for the lands, easements, and right-of-ways work, professional service, as you stated. Correct, Mr. Alvey?
You're asking, are these services from GCR that are budgeted and reflected in this ordinance? These are for land acquisition services with respect to the current levy projects.
Right, but it does not buy one piece of property.
That's correct. We have an ordinance that was passed in 2017, number, let me find it, 17-81. That particular ordinance covered what we then estimated to be the actual land acquisition costs for the projects that were left at that time. And they enumerated the current projects that the Corps is working on in going out to bids, and for which they are looking for us to grant right of entry so they can bid out. So we've got acquisitions that we have to make for those projects. That ordinance passed for an allocation or an appropriation of $12,913,776. Rochelle indicates to me that the current balance available for the land acquisition costs is $588,955.40. That is the ordinance covering land costs.
And that's the same projects that we're appropriating the money for the professional services?
That's correct.
And so we
ones that were then current and for which we anticipated or estimated that were going to be finished 2016, 17, 18, and now some are going to fall into 2019.
So I guess my question is that all of this is federally reimbursed from the levy project.
That's correct.
Do you have any idea how much of that $700 million plus for that federal project is left in the federal budget?
No, I don't. I'm sure Mr. Chip Klein might know. You can ask him. I don't know what the amount is left. I mean, we can contact the Corps, ask them to identify that number.
And so I guess the follow-up is that we put the money up to buy the property previously last year. Now we're going to come in and do the appraisals, or the appraisals have been done?
With respect to some of the projects that are currently active, appraisals are already complete. With respect to some, surveys are complete. With respect to others, they're not complete. So it's a kind of a mix with respect to the remaining projects. They're all undergoing, they're different time sequences of what's happening out there at this current time. But we've currently got a number of projects going on left where we've got survey services to be conducted, appraisals, and then actually we have to go through the acquisition and relocation costs with respect to some of them.
Well, you know how I feel about not knowing specifically what we appropriate money for. And we had those issues in the past where I asked these questions. So I'm just trying to get a feel for, are you going to come back for another appropriation for additional funding to buy the properties?
No.
Or do you think that this $12 million...
I believe that the current ordinance, 1781, covers the costs to make the remaining acquisitions. That's what that was, the estimate were provided to you for, and I think they were detailed as much as they could be detailed in 2017. And at this point in time, we don't have the full final number because we haven't conducted all the work necessary to achieve and inform us what the appraisal numbers are going to be, for which we make the payments and extend offers to purchase.
And the reason I delve into this is because, as you heard Mr. Klein earlier say, that they put up $7.5 million for a canal relocation.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm not familiar with that particular project.
Well, I would like to see us tie this together so we all get a clear understanding about what we're doing in this area, because, you know, the relocation of the drainage canal and the lack of this council's ability or willingness to go ahead on subdivisions and acquire drainage servitudes has really been an issue with me, because we did not do that when the landowners subdivided the property. They subdivided it into big tracts, but they kept the tract across the complete back of the property, knowing that we were going to come in and buy that. And how many times have I mentioned to you that we were told we were going to have property donated, and you've come back and told me how many times there's no donations, now we have to buy it?
That's correct.
And we could have simply solved that problem with an ordinance here at the table, reserving that property for drainage, or not do the subdivision. So I mean, my frustration is, I don't know who's driving the train here, but somebody needs to drive the train with a Plaquemines Parish hat on to make these decisions.
Well, the Corps is driving the train, the Corps is paying for these projects, and the Corps designs the projects, and we follow through with making the acquisitions. We're not in charge.
Well, we don't want to get into that discussion, do we? About who's in charge and why we're not in charge, do we?
I'm not in charge, certainly.
I know that. Anyway, my point is that somewhere down the line, when this money runs out, this area is going to either get 25-year protection, 50-year protection, or 100-year protection. And the more money that we spend on items that we could easily avoid spending will get that levy higher and higher. And if I'm wrong, correct me, but that's been my problem with this process.
I understand you've been frustrated. I can't answer all those questions, and I can't alleviate your frustrations at this point.
I understand. But I thank you for letting me vent.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Well, I'm not going to ask. You finished and you vented. We'll address any other questions. Mr. Gurgis has a few high points he wants to identify with respect to some of these remaining projects, so you have an idea of what's left for us to undertake and to acquire.
Thank you, LV. My name's Steve Gurgis with GCR Incorporated. We've been working on these NOV, New Orleans to Venice, and the NF levy projects since 2011 for the parish. We're a contractor to the parish, and what we've been hired to do is facilitate the turnkey beginning from the review process of the right-of-way maps that the Corps is developing to the end when we actually acquire the property for the right of entry for the Corps contractor to come in and construct the project. We've had over 30 projects that have been in the works for the parish from just south of Belle Chase to Venice. Most of those projects have been on the West Bank. There have been 2 projects on the East Bank at the pump stations on the East Bank. Since this time, we've got 7 projects right now that are remaining that the Corps is concentrating on. And as LV stated, they're in various stages of the process. Some of them are still in the design phase with the Corps of Engineers, and they have not even requested right of entry. Others are almost complete, and our processes were facilitating phone calls, complaints from landowners, responding to that type of thing, and then following up with the final reimbursements to the Corps of Engineers for parish reimbursement. And then, of course, there's a lot in between there. We've got 7 projects, as LV mentioned. 5 of them are on the back levee. 2 of them are on the Mississippi River levee. In total, we've got over 250 landowners that are being impacted by these projects. On the river levees alone, the 2 projects, one of them has 108 landowners, the other one has over 75 landowners. So they're very large projects, ranging anywhere from 6.5 miles to 4.5 miles in length. Just so you know that since 2011, our office on behalf of the parish has submitted reimbursement packets to the Corps of Engineers. Over 118 of these packets have been submitted. The parish is being reimbursed $5.7 million. There's 10 packets right now outstanding that the Corps is reviewing, and those total over $350,000. So these packets are large packets. They're submitted to the Corps of Engineers at various times during the project duration, and those are all been coordinated between the PPA, between the parish and the Corps of Engineers. Again, I just wanted to provide you with the services that we provide. The $1.5 million that's before you tonight is not for all of GCR services. I want to make that clear. There's abstracting services that are included in that. There's title attorney and title opinions that are included in that. Surveys, appraisals, and any engineering that might go along with that as well. All of that information, all of those costs, I should say, are part of that $1.5 million. Our services provided are, again, review process from the beginning, as well as all the coordination efforts, and then the final acquisition at the end of the project. And again, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I just wanted to clarify that for you.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions from the table?
Just as a point of clarification, my point was, I realize that you say we get reimbursed.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not our money that we're spending the Corps' money, and then they're paying it back to us, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct, sir.
So the point is that when the project expenditures continue to rise and rise, that means the levy gets lower and lower. That's the bottom line for me. So I just wanted to be clear that people know that we're not paying this out of the general fund or any of the local funds, but we injected ourselves into this process some years ago, and now, we're here trying to finish the levies, right?
Yes, sir. As a local sponsor, the Corps of Engineers is your federal sponsor, and you and CPRA have a partnership agreement as the local sponsors. And so that is correct. The monies come from the parish to pay for these services, then the Corps of Engineers reimburses you 100% on those projects and those costs.
All right, thank you. Any comments from the audience? With no comments, machine's open on G. Passes 9-0. If you would move to item H, got a couple more people to get out of here.
A resolution approving the requested conditional use by Woodland Borough Pits LLC for an open storage stockpile of gravel and riprap materials in a floodplain zoning district for the property designated as a portion of Tract A-2 of the Myrtle Grove and Wood Park Plantation, Highway 23, Myrtle Grove, Louisiana, Sections 9 and 11, Townships 16 and 17 South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with the application number 2018-350 dated October 25th, 2018.
Mr. Ross?
I so offer.
All thanks for a second.
Second.
Mr. Newberry, seconds.
We had the opportunity, me and Ms. Trudy, to tour this facility, and they showed us exactly where they was going to put the riprap and the gravel limestones, and they said it's approximately 1,000 feet from the highway. Everything is in order. Mr. Amitra?
Yes, sir, and it shows on their plat exactly if the information was in the packet prior to all of this, where they was going to place it at in the very beginning.
All right, Mr. Newberry?
I want to thank Mr. Hogan. He gave Mr. LaFrance and I a tour of his property. We were just a little concerned about being on highway, but like Mr. LaFrance said, it's going to be set in the back. We tried to get it to be placed further back, but with the elevation, it was not possible. I was impressed He gave us a great tour. It was kept up very well, and he felt like if anybody had any issues, just speak up and we can resolve them. But thank you very much, Mr. Hogan.
Thank you. Any other questions from the table, from the audience? All right, with none, machines open. On H. Dr. Good. Passes 9-0. Demetri, Mike, you guys are done? All right. Let's move to introductions. I think that's what a few people are waiting on. Mr. Bartholomew? Me? You? You?
A resolution appointing the replacement members of the Broad Pit Advisory Committee and otherwise to provide respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2019 Manpower Structure and Operation Expenditure Budget, General Fund, Telecommunication Department, and otherwise to provide respect thereto. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Starborough?
Ordinance to amend the 2019 Library Services Fund operating expenditure budget, Libraries General Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Dewey?
An ordinance to revoke, rescind, and set aside and abandon any dedications for public road right-of-way servitude, public use or purpose of those certain portions of Avenue H as named, set forth, and delineated on any and all maps of our other documents of Belchase town sites situated in the town of Belchase, Plaquemines Parish, State of Louisiana, to recognize, declare, and provide that said portions of land affected by that certain portion of Avenue H as described and delineated have been abandoned for public uses or purposes and have never been used for public uses or purposes. To recognize, declare, and provide that said lands underlying and affected by the said certain portion of Avenue H and any public servitude or public dedication over and thereto are abandoned to the legal and rightful owners provided by law. These are too long. We got to shorten these. An ordinance to establish a 2-year moratorium prohibiting the issuance of any non-renewable permits, including pending applications for construction and or operation of any new fireworks stand located in districts. I'm going to leave that blank, and I'll talk to all the council members if you want to be included, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And last, an ordinance to amend a 5-year capital improvements plan drainage Main Street project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all.
A resolution conditionally approving a plan of re-subdivision of portion tract 3D2 of Belchase Plantation as shown in the Parks and Plaquemines Phase 3, Phases 3A, 3B, and 3C, being a re-subdivision of part of Section B, Belchase Plantation, into lots 60A through 96V, lots 260 through 283, lots 299 through 311, Homeowners Association, Tract 9H, and Streets by Brian Hammond Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated November 5th, 2018, without cost for the Plaquemines Parish Government or the Parish of Plaquemines. A resolution to appoint the members of the Plaquemines Parish Economic Development Board and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution to appoint the members of the Plaquemines Parish Zoning and Planning Development Board and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution appointing the members of the Board of Commissioners, Hospital Service District Number 1 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution appointing the members of the Plaquemines Parish Recreation Advisory Committee and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the disposal of a double-wide office trailer. Nope. That's it. Did that. Ms. Newberry?
I just have one. In ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, drainage, Jesuit Bend project, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. LaFonce?
An ordinance revoking and abandoning right-of-way for the buildings and maintenance of a street granted on January the 30th, 1937 to the Plaquemines Parish Police Jury.
What?
Ordinance establishing rules, regulations, definitions, and procedures relative to the Plaquemines Parish Coastal Zone Management Program. An ordinance to amend and as amended, readopt ordinance number 14-135, which establishes rules, regulations, definitions, and procedures relative to the Plaquemines Parish Coastal Zone Management Program. An ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of the property of Chaz and Glenn Mistich, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on map of re-subdivision tracks C, K, and L into tracks K1, K2, LaGrange Plantation by Brian Hammett and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated November 27th, 2018, to the owners. The owners, having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise and to provide with respect thereunto.
I have two. An ordinance to amend 2019 manpower structure and operating expenditures budget, boat harbors and shipyards fund, boat harbor Venice Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2019 manpower structure, boat harbor shipyards and funds, boat harbor bureaus department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Want to withdraw one, Mr.?
Sure do. Good. And please withdraw ordinance number 14-135. Oh, sure. An ordinance establishing rules, regulations, definitions, and procedures relative to Plaquemines Parish Coastal Zone Management Program.
Ren. I have one more. An ordinance authorizing the Plaquemines Parish government to grant Entergy Louisiana LLC needed servitudes or right-of-ways at the Good News Pump Station for the location, construction, reconstruction, improvements, repairs, operation, inspection, patrol, replacement, and maintenance of electric power and communication facilities, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's all.
Six A2, in order to set the rental rates at the new Empire Boat Harbor and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offer. I'd like to offer.
Second.
Sure.
As read.
Yeah, as read.
Any questions or comments on Empire Boat Harbor rates? Questions from the audience?
Did we come up with some rates yet?
Sure. We're going to adopt the suggested rates, which are $60 per slip, which is the same rates that the slips are adjacent to the new harbor that's been constructed. We went and looked at some of the numbers, and by opening up that new section of harbor, we'd be bringing in around $31,000 per year extra revenue for that harbor, and we wouldn't need any additional manpower on the ground to take care of those new slips.
Do we have somebody in charge of collecting rent?
Sure. So I'm going to defer to Don Beschel on this one, but there is a harbor master there, and we do have somebody in collections.
Yes, we do have someone in collections, but it comes down to when people don't pay, we need a stiff arm from, of course, it's going to come from the our administration, which is Rennie, our lawyer, and then we can start doing a little bit better collections. Trouble is, when people don't pay, we can't kick them out from rent. So That's the only problem we're having right now with collections. We just need to be a little bit stiffer on our,
Do we charge, do they have their own energy pole? Do they pay their own?
yeah, they pay for their own electricity,
Okay.
yes.
I know the Buick Boat Harbor has 87 boats in it, and only 55 is paying. So we need to do something to get them all paying.
We are working on it.
So I've been working closely with Don Bushel and Councilmember Kogovich on this, and we're working to come up with a long-term solution. There's areas where boats are tied up and nobody's paying anything. We're looking to get those turned into slips while still having public access for people to change frames out on boats, load rocks for bedding, those types of things. So we're trying to get something that keeps the harbors as solvent as possible and allows for that public access that folks are used to.
Councilman Blake, can you tell us how that compares to the slip rentals at the private marinas, please?
Are you talking about private marinas, Bobby?
Venice Marina, Delta Marina, Cypress Cove.
Sure. So that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. Those harbors provide a different level of service. There's the piers are of a different quality. There's 24-hour security there. There's much more manpower put into the private marinas. For instance, Cypress Cove has a guard there all the time. There's a harbor master there full time. It's really it's hard to compare those two. But each one of those vessels in the commercial fishing harbors represents a small business, and this is an investment in the parish and in keeping folks there. Just by opening the new harbor, it brings the Empire Boat Harbor much closer towards breaking even.
And I appreciate your bringing that up. As I was waiting for that, each one is a small business. Let's keep that in mind when we put additional taxes on any business in this parish. So if we give it to one segment of the industry, let's give it to all segments, please.
Got it.
Thanks.
All right, any questions, comments from the table?
You don't know what
From the audience? All right, with none? Machine's open. It passes 9-0. All right, item J.
J, a resolution assigning office space in the Fort Jackson Museum located at 38039 Highway 23, Buras, Louisiana, to the District 9 council member and administrative assistant and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Offered, Skydervich, second from Mr. Russo. Questions, comments from the table?
I'm doing this to get the museum open. Whenever we get any funds to hire somebody, I'll move back to the regular office.
All right.
When I saw this revolution, I went to laughing because I know you're involved in the Historical Society. So I said to myself, well, at least they got a historian on hand, so I think the council is getting a good deal by having Councilman Mark in there because of his history of the parish being in there. Not saying that you're going to get paid for it, but I know it's in your heart. So I think it's a really good deal, and I'm glad that you have an office in there because you would also serve as a historian in that place for it also.
Thank
and
you.
I know your heart and your passion is there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? With none, machine's open. That's 9-0. Go to K, please.
An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Chapter 1, Article 3, Section 2-30 of the Code of Ordinance relative to creating a policy for employment for all Plaquemines Parish governments, parish attorneys, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I move.
Who offers?
Yeah.
A second? Actually, he's going to offer with changes.
I have. Still spreading water over there.
I'll pass out the changes that they're very, changes the word statute to statutes, and then a couple of words. They're all highlighted where the words go from no less to no later.
This is all paper all yellow on it.
Did I give you enough?
Yeah, we got it. Thank you. I just saw a piece of paper with that was highlighted totally all in yellow. I thought you had.
So I'll offer with those changes. Ask for a second.
I'll second.
Several weeks ago, we discussed some of the issues related to the parish attorney's office in regards to consistency with our ordinances. Mr. Burris has worked to put together an ordinance that I think reflects every concern that the council members had. I think it's the best one we've had so far, and Mr. Burris, if you'd like, if there are any questions, I'll defer those questions to you. I'm done.
Any questions from the table?
No, I'd just like to hear Mr. Burris present this. I'd like to hear Mr. Burris present this.
I'd like to thank the council for its consideration of this ordinance. Essentially, this ordinance repeals and replaces ordinance number 15-82, which can be found in the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, Article 3, Section 2-30, which basically sets out the policy as it relates to employment policies as it relates to the parish attorney's office and actually all the parish attorneys. I wrote you all an email which kind of stated my positions and reasons why I think a change is needed. I certainly do not want to belabor those points here today. What I would like to say to you all is that your parish attorney and assistant parish attorneys have been full-time, currently are full-time, and will continue to be full-time. Even before my confirmation, I've been working 10, 12-hour days. I was on the phone with an attorney last night from 7 to 8 at night and woke up 4:30 this morning thinking about how to settle a case. Some people would probably say I need a life. But I enjoy the work. I went to law school so that I could not get rich or be Perry Mason, but to help solve problems. And I enjoy the work here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve. And also want to let you all know that I'm a taxpayer, and I'm very concerned about taxpayer dollars. Anyone who hangs around me too much at the office will hear me say that. Is that a good deal for the taxpayer? So I'm very conscientious of some of the previous issues that have been raised, and I want to thank the council for considering this ordinance and allowing me the opportunity to run the department how I see fit, while also, I think, compromising and being available to you all by providing a report and just being available in general.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Burris for working with us to put the language in here that guarantees that all parish attorneys will be full-time, working 2,080 hours a year, and that the agreement that you have come to with the timesheets, that there won't just be 8 hours on a day, that they'll be broken out per hours, about 8 hours as to the workload that they are handling, just as a normal attorney would do. So that goes a long way for me to make sure that I feel comfortable that they are full-time. In the past, you've had 8-hour timesheet, and you'd see across the board 8 hours for the whole week. However, with the agreement that you've come to, that you're going to document those 8 hours as to what cases they work for, and then those reports guarantees that we'll be able to see transparency that they're indeed full-time. And that makes me feel comfortable to the point to where I'm going to vote for this ordinance, because it was the ordinance that I had prepared that had passed to make full-time attorneys, and this maintains that commitment to the public, that we are paying attorneys who are going to get retirement insurance and sick leave, annual leave benefits as a full-time employee, that they are earning those benefits by being full-time. So I thank you for agreeing to provide those records and document those issues.
Yes, sir. And I think one of the reasons you saw 8 across the board in the past was because we're exempt employees and we're not allowed any overtime. And so I think that's why we consistently saw 8, because we were salaried employees. But it's my commitment to you all that I'm going to document all our hours. I can assure you I'm working more than 20 hours. and I want you to feel confident in the work that we're doing. So I'll provide that documentation on a quarterly basis. I've agreed to certify that the parish attorneys are all complying with the ordinance, and then also provide you all with a biannual report on where we are. And I appreciate your comments, Mr. Russo, and look forward to working with all of you.
Mr. Panovich, has it.
I was also against it until you made those changes, so I'll vote for it and work with you.
I appreciate your support, Mr. Kosmovich.
I'm just concerned with Don's expression when you said 2,080 hours. No. I don't have anything else. Anybody have anything else? Right.
That's minimal. You know, that's, the language is, for the public's knowledge, shall mean a minimum of 2,080 hours, which is 40 hours a week.
Correct.
Which is agreeable to me, and everybody else, obviously.
Yeah, any other questions, comments from the audience? All right, with none? Yep.
Say questions?
All right. Gene's open. Let's go. Y'all, please.
Thank you, council.
A resolution approving a Community Water Enrichment Fund grant from the Office of Community Services in the amount of $77,800 to replace approximately 800 feet of existing pre-1950s 8-inch cast iron pipe with 12-inch PVC water line on Highway 39, Braithwaite, Louisiana, authorizing the parish president to apply for such grant and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Offer as read.
I'll second.
Question? That's been called.
I'm just very happy to see this happening, Mr.
Yes.
Solomon. Any comments from the audience?
Yes.
All right, with none, Gene's open. Ms. Newberry? Hopefully, we only have 2 meetings left with this audio and technical issues. We'll move to the new courthouse. Right, Ryan?
We got one more, I had another couple, one more meeting.
2 more? All right, one more from Jim.
Here.
All right.
Here.
That's only one more here.
Maybe
All right, 7A, we have none. Mr. Bartholomew, 7B, District 1 update.
Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Todd Epley for going to addressing that problem, concern they had at the courthouse, the new courthouse is being constructed, of course, the water line, electrical outlet that he's been being addressed, that'll expedite them to lay the sidewalk around the courthouse. We had 100% of utilities inside, electricity inside the building, at 100%. They're working on the outside lighting on the building itself. That's hopefully within another week, that should be completed. If not completed as of today, by next week it will be completed. Also doing the work on the street, on the south side, getting ready to renovate that. That's going to be taken care of. The only hold-up right now is the working on the generator, to construct for the elevation of the generator, to put that in place. And they poured the stairwell is up in front of the building. All the stairs are completed. And they're just fine-tuning it, going back and finish that up. So we're just about that. So late February, early March, we should be in the new council chamber. Matter of fact, they're putting carpet in some of the areas, some of the rooms, and carpet is being placed. So they're moving right along pretty quickly with that now because everything is inside. The only other thing is that the area in the back, we're working on that to consolidate the parking area. That's the last little stretch that has to be tied into the building itself. The elevators are completed, are ready for that, all the 3 elevators that they have. They have 2 public and 1 private. The 1 private is for the courts, for the prisoners, but I'm going to go straight up to the courtroom. I won't stop, they go straight up. And the other 2 will be transported to public. And basically, that's where we are with that. And I want to thank Mr. Besher for at least getting something in the process of Tabner Road, which eventually I think may have saved the parish some money from disaster if that wouldn't be taking place at this point in time. And our administration director, I want to thank her for keeping me abreast of what's going on, what we need to do, and our effort of communicating with her, very positive. And of course, my colleagues on the council, I want to thank you all for being supportive of the activities that have been going on the East Bank as well as the West Bank. And the attitude or the atmosphere of the council is very positive, very calm, and very cordial, and very productive. And I really want to thank you for doing that. It's very appreciative. I don't have to go home with a headache. So I really appreciate that. And Mr. Epley, I will send you that email about the air conditioning and the heating in this building. So, Ms. Maureen, would you send Mr. Epley that email tomorrow, please, so he can don't forget that he has to look into that, taking care of this facility. Because I want you to be comfortable when you come. I don't like for you to be freezing. I don't like for you to be hot. So I want you to be comfortable, to enjoy the atmosphere, because it's a nice ride. But the only thing messes us up when you guys sit in this cold building or this hot building. So with that said, that's all I have to say on District 1. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time and your attitude and your performance. I really want to commend you for the last couple of meetings. Y'all outstanding.
I was trying to get out here by 5 o'clock, but I had a couple other discussions.
I'm trying to hold you over here. Huh? Yes, I'm trying to hold you.
That's a lot, thank you. All right, item 8, please.
Number 8, approval of the minutes from the January 10, 2019 council meeting.
I'll offer ask for a second. Second. Mr. LaFrance seconds. Machine's open.
You like regular Coke? Regular Coke?
Passes 9-0. I can have an offer to adjourn. Mr. Russo, seconded by Mr. LaFrance. Machine's open. Council meeting is adjourned at 5:10. Thanks.